In this video, I'm going to show you how to integrate Airtable and Make.com to create
an image automatically.
from Airtable to Midjourney and LumaLabs. So first, it starts with an Airtable database or Airtable table
Where the request happens and
the prompt fields right here. This is where the prompts are keyed in, and which will then be picked up by the system when we send a request. The request event is sent by
checking the box.
so there are three types of requests, or actually four requests that we have here in our automation. The first request is to generate an image, and then we are going to upscale the image turned into a video, and then we're going to have a collection of video, which will then be turned into a movie by sending the requests through this. Going back to the table, like I mentioned, the request will be sent by checking this box right here. Once you check this through the automation, it's sent request as an event to our Make.com automation workflow by having a webhook trigger to pick up the events that is sent by the Airtable. Now, if it's an image request, it will be sent through this line of modules here. This workflow in particular would send a request to Midjourney. So it picks up the data of the request from the Airtable where the request came from, and then it will be sent to an HTTP module where the request is being sent to Midjourney. Once it's processed, it will be sent back to Airtable, which would then give us this result. This is an image or a collection of image based on the prompt that we've entered. The prompt says ultra realistic image of Los Angeles and the freeway system up close on the highway 110 with all the cars driving on the freeway from the view of the driver. So this is the result of that prompt. Next thing that we're going to do is we are going to isolate one image out of those four images that we have here. You select it using the selector. Once you picked up a particular number, you would then go ahead and press this upscale go checkbox, which would then activate the second automation that we have here. This is a native automation, by the way, from Airtable, and it sends events to our integration automation system, which is Make.com. So once you send the request of upscaling a particular image that you selected, it will be sent or be picked up by the webhook, which then routes it to, by this router, routes it to this second line of module, which basically does the same thing as the first line of module that we have. Only this time, it will ask Midjourney to upscale the image. Once done, it will be sent back to Airtable, which would then give us the upscaled image of the image that we picked. The next step that this system is going to do is to turn that upscaled image into a video. So there should be a prompt similar to this, which is this one. It's going to animate this image, and request will be sent to Midjourney to do as it is mentioned in our prompt. So that is activated or initiated by putting a check on this checkbox, whereby activating this third automation that we have here. That automation will just send an event or a request to our workflow, which would then be picked up again by the webhook and will be sent to the third line of automation. Only this time, it will be sent to LumaLabs, where it will process the image, turning it into a video. There are other modules here
are condition-based and filter-based loops,
which will be explained later. But this whole line of modules will process the image, turning it into a video, and
then send it back to
our database here, which would give us the video clip coming from the image. And then you basically have to do all four of these because you're going to
be needing a collection of
video clips in order for you to create a movie.
All those four video clips will be pieced together into one movie, which
will then be sent in here. So the movie part basically does the same thing. When you check this box, there's a native automation in here that sends a signal or an event to our Make.com webhook and then send it to this line of modules right here, requesting for LumaLabs to piece all together those four separate video clips and turn it into a movie. We are going to start by creating a new database table.
Let's start from scratch. Let's name this Midjourney and LumaLabs.
Enter. We want to rename this table as movie.
Then we're going to hide these sections right here
and rename this movie name. Hit enter.
Then we're going to create a number property here. Let's call it width.
Select no decimal places, no thousand separator, then create field.
Then let's go ahead and duplicate this field.
And let's rename it into height. So we got width and height. And then let's create a formula field. Let's call this aspect ratio. Okay, I copied my formula from my previous work. You could pause the video for a while, then copy it. Create field. It would say invalid dimension because we haven't entered any specific value just yet. So let's put in 1080 and 1920 for the height. I'm going to call this LA Torre. And we're going to go ahead and delete these because we're not going to be needing them. And I'm going to go ahead and create link to another record, call it scenes, a new table. Let's call it scene. And we are going to allow linking to multiple records. Create field. We're going to go ahead and go to the new table that we created, which is scenes. Let's hide this, but make sure not to delete it. Then let's rename this scene name. Let's rename this as movie scene. So let's finish this table first, and then we're going to go back to movies. Let's go ahead and create, let's name this as record ID, and it's going to be a formula field. Type in REC, REC, pick this, just finish the open and close parentheses here, then create field, hide that, and then let's create
a long text field called image prompt.
Create field. All right, let's create a cref field in here. Use a URL. Create field, call it final
image prompt,
and it's going to be a formula type of field. And I just copied the formula from my previous table, but what this basically does is it's going to combine the image prompt with the cref. So just create table. I'm gonna go ahead and create another field. Let's call it image scope,
and it's a checkbox type property.
Create field.
Create another one called image task ID, and it's a single line text.
Let's go ahead and create another field or images and get an attachment. For now, let's go ahead and hide final image prompt, image task ID. Then let's create image selector, and let's pick multiple select. Let's add 4 options here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Create field. Create another field here. Let's call it upscale. Go.
Set it as a checkbox field type. Create field.
Create another field here.
Let's call it upscale task ID. Then set it as a single line text field type. Then create field.
Let's hide it. Then let's create another field.
Let's call it upscale image and set it as
an attachment. Create field.
Let's call it
video prompt.
Set it as long text field type.
Create field. Let's create another field. All this
video go, and it's a checkbox, and then
create field,
and another one. Let's call it LumaLabs task ID, single line text, create field.
A field called video, and it's an attachment. Then let's go back up here.
Let's rename this from movies to movie, and then turn off allow linking to multiple records.
Hit on save, confirm changes.
Go over to movie, click on the caret, add lookup fields, width, height, aspect ratio, add fields.
Hide, and also hide these other 3 fields. And then let's go to filter and add a condition. Movie
is not empty. Let's go to group and select movie.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this
and rename it as orphan scenes.
Let's remove the groupings and then reverse the filter is empty. So what it's going to do is it's going to separate the scenes that are tied up to a movie in our movies table to the scenes that are not tied up to any movie in our movie table. Now let's head back to the movies table and finish what we've been doing in there. Let's go to scenes here and add lookup field. Let's add video and then add field. And actually I'm going to rename this
to videos.
Hit save, create another field in here.
Let's name it movie go. It's a checkbox, create field, an attachment field type called movie.
And we are going to create a record ID.
It's a formula type field type in REC. Select the suggestion below, complete the expression, hit save.
It creates this unique ID for this row right here. Each time we add a row, it's going to create its own unique ID. And also let's hide this because we're not going to be needing it. Rename this movies. And now we have our Airtable based built. And if we had any mistake, we'll just track it along the way as we build our automation. Now let's go ahead and jump back to our scenes table.
Let's go to orphan scenes and let's go ahead.
Activate this field right here. And I'm going to create a scene. Let's name it Freeway number 1 and add that into our LA story.
Go to the movie scenes view.
So we are going to create a collection of scenes for our LA story movie. So I'm just going to copy the value that I have from the finish table that I had for the image prompt. So this is what I got. I'm going to go here and select extra total so you can see the whole image prompt that I had. You could pause the video and copy this. So we actually forgot to add one more field in here. So let's go and add a field or insert a field to the right. Let's call this status and let's select single select here. I'm going to go ahead and add an option, generating images, generating scale, generating videos, and then video completed. Go ahead and change the colors of these options to red. And I'm going to leave the last one green because that indicates that the task has been completed for a particular row. All right, let's go ahead and move the status field next to the scene name, and then move this thing right here so we can always have the status next to our scene name right there. Now let's continue on. I have a cref copied from my previous table. By the way, this link is actually just a reference for Midjourney to create a scene based on a distinctive styling and feel of this reference image. So when I go and process the prompt, it would look similar to how this particular reference or cref is. You could use any images as your reference as long as you make the link public so Midjourney will be able to access it. So for now, that's all that we need to kickstart our automation. Let's head on to create a new scenario here, and we are going to create a trigger. Let's pick custom webhook. Go ahead and name this Airtable API MJ and
LumaLabs.
hit save. We're going to generate this link right here. We're going to copy it and then click OK. Let's rename this Airtable to API, Midjourney,
And LumaLabs.
hit save, and let's head back on to our Airtable. I'm going to create a trigger that when this checkbox here is checked, it's going to create an event that this webhook right here will pick. So let's head on to automations, and then let's create a trigger. And then let's pick when record matches condition. So let's first rename this Airtable or automation as generating image. Right here on the right panel, let's select the scene, which is table. Set a condition when image prompt
Is empty.
Another condition is image go is checked. Now we're gonna go ahead and select.
Run script.
I'm gonna go ahead and clear everything out. I have already copied, and then I'll paste the code from my previous database. Make sure to mine all the casing in here, just like here, URL, record ID. Make sure to pay attention to the case. Go to the left pane right here, and we are going to add an input variable. Let's name this as record ID. Again, pay attention to the case, and then we are going to hit this box and select Airtable. Then we're going to add another one, webhook URL. These are matches to the variables in the expression that we have in this script. So the value here will come from our webhook. So let's just go back there and copy this address again. Let's put it in here. I'm gonna add one more value here. Third value, let's call it action, and we'll name it as generating images. That's all that we needed here. You could go ahead and click on finish editing, and we're going to go ahead and proceed to add more action. But before we go ahead and do that, let's go back to this first steps right here, and let's choose a record
We don't have any record yet, so let's go back to data.
and make sure that the image node is checked.
Go back to automations and click on the first action.
So then it will generate a record for us. Here we go. Select this one. Now we could go ahead and
Pick update record.
select table as scenes. The record ID is this one. Select them here, and then let's select a field status and set it to generating images. One more field, image go, and leave it in check so that after it runs this automation here and finish the process of generating our image. So now we're going to go ahead and go back to run script. And before we do the test here, let's go ahead and go back first to make sure we saved any progress. And then we hit run once. Let's run a test action. All right, and then you're going to come here to make, and you should be able to see this right here, which means it has already detected the event that the trigger has sent. If you're not getting that, make sure to double check your configuration here, repeating the video, and make sure you're passing everything in here correctly, including the webhook. Now we're going to go ahead and continue on. Let's create another module here. Let's go ahead and create a router. We are going to create 4 branches here ultimately, but for now, let's just create one line of a module. So pick up the record ID that we've sent in here in the trigger, pull it out through an Airtable module. So let's select Airtable module and select get a record. We are going to create any connections to our base from Airtable. So let's click on add connection type as Airtable hold, and I'm going to rename this connection as LumaLabs email. And save. It's going to ask for authorization. Click on add base. Let's pick this base right here. This is what we're working on. Simply grant access. There you go. And then let's pick our base. This one, table is scene. Record ID is the record ID from here. Pick that and hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and create a filter right here. Base it off from the action coming from our webhook. So let's create actions. So if the action is equal to generating images, it's going to let it pass through this filter to perform the action in this line of modules. So let's go ahead and continue on. Let's pick HTTP. We are going to make a request to Midjourney to create our image. So we are going to make a request to this URL right here. You can pause the video and copy it. And let's change this to posts. Headers should be text API-key. And for value, we are going to grab the API by going to go API.ai. If you don't have an account under this, you're going to need to go to dashboard and create an account. You're going to be needing your GitHub account. To create an account, you just simply log in. If you don't have any Midjourney account, you could create one. It's an option before we hit login. And then before you could use Midjourney API, you're going to be needing to have a developer's plan, and then to use API, you just simply go in here and copy your API. So once you have your API key, you can go ahead and go back to Make and input that in here. Continuing on, let's select raw body type. Content type should be JSON. And for the request contents, I'm going to paste my code or make script from previous automation that I did for this. Of course, we want to make sure that these placeholder will be replaced because these are from my previous automations. So you may go ahead and copy this. So for the prompt, we're going to make sure we're using the ones that we got from this Airtable. Final image prompt, and then this one, aspect ratio. We click this, drop down right here and select
Aspect ratio and the value below.
Now for the webhook, and we're going to create another automation for this. So let's go ahead and jump back on Airtable. So going back in our Airtable first, let's go ahead and create two sections. Let's create a section for our triggers
And move them here. Let's create another section
that we will call webhook. This is where we are going to put all our triggers that's being sent to make.com. And then on this section right here is where we are going to set the webhooks from our external APIs. We are going to input a webhook here coming from an internal webhook in Airtable. Okay, so this will be replaced with a new one from the one that we'll be creating later on. So whenever a request is processed in here and then it has been completed by Midjourney API, it's going to send the complete tasks or the completed result and then load the image here. So I'm going to go ahead and create another automation and we're going to put that inside webhook. So let's pick a trigger. So let's pick when webhook is received. But first, let's rename this automation as images webhook. And then you will see this code right here. Copy it and go back to make.com, input that in between these two quotation marks here.
Make sure it's between those quotation marks.
And it's for the webhook endpoint. And I'm going to go ahead and select parse response here and then hit OK. Now, the only thing that's left to do in this line of workflow is to return the result from the request back to Airtable. So let's pick Airtable in here and select update a record. Then we're going to go ahead and connect to the account that we created on the Airtable. Let's select LumaLabs demo, update your connection. Yes, we just basically have to do the same thing that we did earlier by connecting to Luma here, MJ, Midjourney, and LumaLabs. Brand access. Now I'm going to go ahead and select it. Base is MJ and LumaLabs. Table is scenes. And then record ID is the record ID from this webhook. So scroll down record ID. And then we want to go ahead and scroll down to image task ID. Now, since we haven't run this modules here, we still don't have the image task ID.
Hit OK and save the changes.
And then hit run once, and I'm going to head back to our base and go back to generating images. Now, if you go here, this should have the record that we have from before, which is this one. If you go back to our table, we have image prompt, we got right here, we got image build check. I'm going to go ahead and go right back into automations, go to run script, and then we are going to test action. Then we're going to go ahead and head back up to here. As you can see, it's being processed now by Go API, and it looks like we got a result. As you can see, we got a status code 200. So it's a success. We're going to go ahead and click on data. It's success. And then you see the task ID right here. We already get a task ID. So we can go ahead now and go back to your update row Airtable and go to image task ID and then task ID from the last module. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK and then hit save. And then we're going to have to repeat this process so we can have a successful result, wherein the result coming from Midjourney API will be sent back to our Airtable base by running this images webhook. So I'm going to go and hit once again in here. And then I'm going to head back to our automation and click on test action all over again. And let's wait for it. Okay. Now, once we verify then finish the whole line of modules, our workflow again, let's go ahead and head back to Airtable. Now, we want to make sure that the task ID, the request that came in from a task ID is the actual task ID that we got from our external webhook. So what's going to happen is it's going to send the request back to webhook of our Airtable automation. So we wanted to know this is the last task ID from the last test things that we did. We wanted to know that this is the task ID that we definitely got. Come back here. It literally says it has been run a few seconds ago. And if we go to body here, we can see that the task ID turned the request back to our Airtable base. So I'm going to go ahead and add another request, which is find records, right? And let's pick scenes as the table, find a record based on condition. And the condition is when image task ID there is, and then we're going to go ahead and select this gear right here and select dynamic. But the box that we could go into this body, and this is the task ID right here. And let's set the maximum record limit to 1. And we're going to test the action. And you can see that we have this result right here. So we're going to add another step here, which is update record. And we are going to select scenes for the table. Record ID is the record ID from Find Records right here. So we go scroll down to Airtable record ID. For fields, we are going to choose
Scenes and go into the box right here.
go to the body, task results, and then we'll take the image URL, and then we want to go and add another field. We want to select status, and I'm going to leave that blank, run as configured, and then scroll down run test, and we can go ahead and go back to data now and see that we have our image. We got 4 images right here. So let's go back to the automations and enable this webhook here. Now we are going to proceed to the to the next line of the modules here, which is the module that upscale the images. Now going back to the Airtable, we need to select the image first that we need to be upscaled. So I'm back here. Let's pick number 4. We actually need to change this property type here because this should have been a single select. Then let's go ahead and pick image number 4. Check the upscale go. Okay, and let's go back to our automations and let's go back to our generating image here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it and we're going to rename this generating upscale. So pretty much everything's the table is the same. We're just going to need to change this. First condition is images is not empty. Image selector is not empty. Upscale image is empty. And then upscale go is checked. Now we could move on to run script. The only thing that needs changing here is generating images. Change it to generating upscale. Now we could go ahead and jump back to make.com and that first module, which is the Airtable module. So Airtable, get a record. Okay, let's select the account that we created, which is this one right here. Then the base is MJ and LumaLabs still. Table is scenes. Record ID is the record ID from this module right here. Go ahead and hit OK. We want to set a filter for this map right here. It should allow it to go through if the action is generating upscale. Generating upscale is OK. Now for the HTTP modules right here, we're just going to go ahead and clone it to save time. Now for the URL here, we're just going to be changing this to upscale. Leave everything as they are. They're still the same. Just this request content here, this script needs to be changed. You can pause the video and copy this again because this is a different script from the other HTTP that we have on the first path. So to fix the broken elements here, placeholder, image task ID. So we're going to select image task ID right here. So we're going to delete the broken placeholder. The image selector, image selector. Right here, first leave the broken placeholder, and for the webhook URL, we're going to have to jump back to Airtable. Right, so let's head back to Airtable. The first thing that I'm going to do is to duplicate this automation right here, and we are going to rename it as upscale webhook. And I'm going to jump back to the first action and then copy the code in here, head back to make.com, place this
New outgoing webhook from Airtable.
and I'll go ahead and hit OK on this. To verify they're not the same. Let's try to compare. Once the result has been created in here, we are going to update it into an Airtable. So update record. Actually, we want to go ahead and cancel this one first. We're going to have to delete this. So let's save first so that we can have a task ID because this last module is going to require the task ID. So let's try generating a task ID first. So I just hit save. Now I'm going to hit run once and we're going to go ahead and head back to Airtable, go back to generating upscale right here. Pick a record first and then run script. So there it is. Went down the second path because the second path is for the upscale. And you can go ahead and check out status. It's code 200. Go to data. We got a task ID. So we can go ahead and create a third module in here, which is an Airtable update record. And we are going to select our account. This one, the base, and the record ID, the table. The record ID is the webhook record ID. And then we'll just scroll down and look for the update task ID and select the task ID from our HTTP module, which is this one. Hit OK. First, we gotta make sure that the task ID comes true in the result B2E8. Let's go back here, heal. Yeah, it takes some time for it to load up in here. Let's see. B2E8E, right? We just get it right there. Let's go back to make.com and run one. So let's hit save first and then let's run one so we can have a full cycle of success for this particular upscaling process. generating upscale and run a script test again. Yeah, let's see. All right, so it finished the whole process, and let's check on the status. Code 200. We got a task ID right here. I'll make sure we got a correct task ID. Task ID C472FA27. We want to go ahead and check which one we got here that went successful. It's C472FA27. All right, before continuing on with this action, we want to correct a few things. We are looking for a task ID in here since we just copy or duplicate this webhook from the images webhook above. So we still have the old configuration in there. So go ahead and select upscale task ID. It's going to break the value in here. So we want to go back in here, select dynamic, and then we want to go to body and we'll select task ID. Okay, we want to go ahead and test the action right here. Now with results, we want to go ahead and continuing with update record. Everything's fine here, but we want to change this to upscale image. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this and choose a field, upscale image. And we want to go ahead and select body here, task result, and grab this image URL, run as configured, and then run test. Right, we want to go ahead and check the result right there, and there you go. We got this upscale image of the fourth image from our images right here. This is the fourth image, and this is the upscaled image of the fourth image. All right, so we want to go ahead and continue on with the third path in our automation, which will create a video for us out of the upscaled image coming from Midjourney. So start off, we're going to go ahead and start from the router here, add third leg. And we want to go ahead and create a filter first. The action should be generating video. Okay, on that, same thing as we did with the first module on the first two automation or workflow or path from above is we want to go to Airtable, get a record, and we want to connect to the same account that we had on the first two paths. The base is still the same. Course table is going to be the same. Record ID is the same as the record ID from the other two paths that we have in OK. We just want to go ahead and follow this. And before we do anything else, let's just go ahead and realign everything. Save. And let's go ahead and realign. Okay, we want to change our HTTP module. We want to go ahead and change the URL. We can pause the video and copy it from here. Everything stays the same except for this one. We're going to go ahead and delete this. Right, so we are going to replace this one. This is from my old automation, so we got some broken placeholders in here. We're going to go ahead and delete that. But before we do that, let's find the correct value. This one right here. So we're going to go ahead and delete this broken placeholder. And for image URL, upscale image, drop down URL. There you go. And we want to go ahead and delete the broken placeholders. Go. And we're going to hit OK. Pause the video and copy all that. Hit OK. Hit save. And we want to jump back on our Airtable here. And we'll want to go ahead and go here to the image prompt. And we want to paste a prompt for the video here. I just copied it. You could pause the video and copy it yourself. But basically, it's telling Luma to animate this upscale video in here. And then we want to go ahead and put a check on the video checkbox. And we want to go ahead and head back to our automations. What we want to do is duplicate this automation right here, and we want to name it generating video. We go to the first step, and we want to change all the conditions in here. First condition is upscale image is not empty. Second condition is the video goal is checked. And we want to select record here. Go. Then we're gonna go to the run script here. Everything's good and the same in here, except we want to change this to generating video, and we want to go to update the record. And in here, we want to update this status from generating images. We want to go ahead and select generating video. Delete this. We want to choose field, and we want to choose video goal. We also want to correct the update record configuration in here, as we still have images, which came from the configuration of generating images. So we want to change this to generating upscale, and this one should say upscale go. All right, then we want to jump back to generating video. Go to run script right here. Before we do the testing, we want to save things first and then run, wait for new data, and want to go back and run the script again. All right, here we go. We just got the video task ID. All right, to continue on, let's go ahead and create another module here, which will look through the process. So we'll select load control right here. So what this basically does is it's going to loop through the process to see if the video has already been generated. Hit OK. Then we are going to set a variable. So go to tools, get a variable. Let's name it status. So obviously the first time it loops through, the status will be empty. Hit OK. Another module. This one is going to set a delay in the loop. So we're going to set it 120 seconds. And then we want to check back with Luma for the status of the video. So we're going to go ahead and pull this. For the URL, we want to go ahead and change that into this one for my other automations. We want to correct this broken placeholder, but let's pick up the correct one here. Data task ID. Then we want to delete the broken placeholder, change this into get. Everything's here is the same. We want to leave this empty and just leave this space blank. So this is just for getting a status of the request. So we don't want to put any requests down here in the body type. I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. All right, now we want to simulate if the video is ready yet. So we want to go here and check on the task ID. We're going to copy it and then let's run this module once. Put that in here. Hit OK. All right, looks like it's ready. We got the status. Now we want to go ahead and create a module that would return the results or the finished request to Airtable. So we want to go to Airtable and then update per record. All right, so we want to go ahead and connect to our account. Go ahead and update your base and then select the table. Now for the record ID, we want to pick the record ID still coming from our webhook down at the bottom. And then if we want to scroll down to our video, our LumaLabs task ID first, let's select data, and then task ID. For video, we want to go ahead and select file URL from data generation, and then video, and then URL. Okay, we want to unselect this, and then for the status, select video completed and hit OK. Now we want to set variable. Make sure to select set variable. Type in status completed, hit OK. All right, and then we're going to go back up a little bit. So we're going to put a filter right here, and we want to know the status is not equal to completed, and then hit OK. And also we want to put a filter right here, where we want to check the data status is equal to completed, and we want to hit OK. Now to explain what's going on here, when we run a test, let's see this first. So when we run the tests, the webhook pick up the event and then it will go through this path for the video, make a request to process the video from the image to video, which would normally take 5 to 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop through the process until the video is finished. The first status here, if it's not completed, it will not continue on to this because it's not completed. It's going to go and loop through here. If it's completed, it's going to go ahead and leap through the process first. Of course, the first time it runs through here, the process is not going to be completed. So it's going to leap through the process for 2 minutes and it's going to check for the status. Now for the status, if it still shows up not completed, it will still going to loop back through the process. If it's completed, going to proceed updating the table. Once it updates the table, it will set the status completed process back to the loop. So the first time it runs, it will allow this thing to pass through because the status obviously will not be completed just yet. It will stay on for 2 minutes. After that, it's going to go to this module that checks the status of the request from the first HTTP, whether it's completed or not. It's going to pass through this condition. Once it's completed, it will go through here and then eventually completes the process. Once it's completed and scroll back up into the loop again, if it's not completed, of course, it will loop back through the process all over again up until it's completed. So I'm gonna go ahead and run the test to see if this whole process will get completed. So let's head back. Let's run this first. Let's head back to our Airtable. I want to go ahead and run our test here. And as you can see, it's going through the process of the loop. So right now, as you can see, it reached up until this module right here, but it's not finished with the loop because apparently it's still not finished because once you get into this module right here, checking for the status of the HTTP module and it's not yet finished, this filter right here is going to kick the whole process back into the loop. So here we go. We got a complete process right here. Wherein we got the Airtable table finally been updated with a video. We got this task ID right here. And of course, the status is completed. So if we go back to our Airtable, we want to go to data, you would see that a video has been generated for our upscale image. So we want to go ahead and check what this video is. So the cars animated. Now we want to create several of these. We want to go ahead and repeat through the process in here, create 3 more rows down below to have a complete process up until a video is generated. On every row, we want to reach the end of the process, which a video will be generated on each row so that we could go ahead and piece them together into one movie. Right, so we want to go back to automations now, and we want to go ahead and switch all of these automations on. So let's start from here. Now the only thing that we haven't touched is this updated record right here. It updates it on its own automatically. Go ahead and check on each one of them how they should be working. Okay, so once we run this script, it would say generating images, and we can check the image go. Same here when we run the script, the update record, then grab the Airtable record ID, and then you should say generating upscale, and then upscale go should be unchecked. Because when we run through the process, we want to check the checkbox, but once the process has been initiated or kick-started, it would say generating upscale. So it should be the same thing here in the video. We'll run a script. Next step would be generating a video, and then video go. A movie has a scene attached onto it, but we could also add more scenes into it. So we want to go ahead and add more. So let's add 3 more, and I'm going to go ahead and just copy the scenes that I have from my other table. We got a Griffith scene, LA beaches scene, and Los Angeles scene. And then we also want to go ahead and paste the prompts that I have from the other table. There we go. And we want to go ahead and just drag the C refs right here. Okay. You want to go ahead and turn on our automations first. And then we want to go ahead and select image go right here. And since we just switch on the automations, it should, work on its own, including all the all of the actions going down from the automation. So as you can see now, we got this generating images and the checkboxes got in check. And we want to go over here and wait for it to pick up, right? So here we go. We got the first images on the first path of the workflow got processed. So we want to wait for a couple of seconds, up to a minute in here, for the image to be generated. So there it is. We got an image in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick the first image to generate an upscale. So let's go ahead and pick number 1 right here. Want to make sure this is running, by the way. Let's switch it on, switch it off, just to make sure it works. It's gonna work perfectly fine. Then we want to go ahead and place a checkbox right here. It should say upscale generating in here. There it is. We got an upscale image from the image field. Let's go back in here and show you this image is what we picked. Now we want to go ahead and put in a prompt for our video requests. So slowly pan to the left and zoom into the mountain landscape, and we're sending in the request. They should say generating video, and there you have it. The box is unchecked. All right, so we've got this animated now into a short video clip. Okay, that's what we got. And I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the rest, and I'll be back once I have them all completed.
So this last step is going to be triggered in the movie table. This is the part that we've created the first time. We got LA story here. We got our width, our height, width 1080, height 1920, aspect ratio 16 by 9. And then we got all these 4 scenes that we have created, and these video that are going to be stitch all together into one movie. So I just hit go in here since we don't have any automation for it just yet. This 4 movies are going to be pieced together by our API, which is coming from our API in JSON to video. And if you don't have an API just yet, you could go ahead and create your account to get yourself an API. So let's go ahead and go back to Airtable. And I'm going to jump back to scenes and then go to automations. First thing that we're going to do is duplicate this automation right here, and let's rename it to generating movie. And we are going to create conditions for triggering movie stable, not the scene. And it's going to break down all these conditions here. Let's replace it. We want to go movie go is check, and the videos from scenes is not empty. I want to go ahead and hop into the run script. So in this configuration, everything stays the same, except we want to replace the action as generating movie, and then go into update record. And we wanted to work on the movies table, not the scenes table. Of course, everything's going to break for the configuration here because it has been copied from the other configuration that has been configured for the scenes. And in the update record action, we want to go ahead and delete this broken configuration here and just replace it with movie go. We're going to leave it in check. We want to know if it's able to detect any instance. So let's see if we can find a record here. Let's go back to movies and make sure we want to check movie go in there, LA story in there. We want to select that. And now we want to go ahead and jump back to run script. But before we run the testing, we're going to go ahead and build the automations workflow for this particular internal automation. Okay, we're going to add our last leg in here for our router. Go ahead and click that. But before we continue clicking modules, let's go ahead and create a filter first. We want to say record, action should say generating movie, and then we'll want to go ahead and pull the record from, let's align everything first, and then pull the record from Airtable. So get a record. We want to pick the ones that we've been using. It's LumaLabs demo. Then pick the base here. We're currently working on MJ and LumaLabs. Or the table. This time we will pick movies. And for the record ID, we want to pick the record ID coming from our webhook right here, and hit OK. So what's going to happen after we retrieve the Airtable request is that we are going to iterate all the videos that we have created, and then create a JSON variable for the videos. We're going to build the scenes and then create a final JSON that will be sent to our JSON to video API here. So let's add a module here, and let's pick an open iterator for the array. Let's go ahead and select videos from scenes and hit OK. Now we want to go ahead and create JSON. So type in JSON and then select create JSON. You'll be asked for this. Just go ahead and hit add. And in here, let's go ahead and rename this as JSON to video data source. We want to go ahead and add item or generate. Hit generate, and then for the sample data, we're gonna have to input a sample JSON. I will be including a document in this video, along with this video, that has this expression here of a JSON object. So let's go ahead and copy this. Make sure to copy from the beginning up until the end. Nothing comes before and nothing comes after the last character. Put that in here. You can go ahead and generate, and on this window right here, you can just go ahead, scroll down and hit save.
And then we want to go ahead and hit on add item. So for the source right here, let's go ahead and pick the URL. And for the type in video, zoom is 0. For the width, we're going to go ahead and select the data coming from our Airtable. Select width. And then for the height, select height. For that duration, let's go ahead and put in -1 because it's going to tell the JSON to video API to collect the whole duration of the video. And for the position, make sure to type in center dash center correctly. And then you could go ahead and hit on OK. So for the next module, we're going to go and use JSON again, but this time let's pick parse JSON. We want to parse the JSON string coming from the previous JSON module right here. So that's JSON 21. Select it, hit OK. And we want to close the iterator here. So we're going to pick the aggregator. So select aggregator. We don't have any data to fill in the information in here. So let's just go ahead and select the iterator, which is iterator 20. And then hit on OK. We want to go ahead and save. Just ignore the message, save anyway. So let's go ahead and hit on run once, ignore it and hit on run anyway. And we want to go ahead and go back to our Airtable. We have already picked the record from here where this testing would be based from. And now we want to go ahead and hop back on run a script and let's test the action. Going back to our record, our make automation right here, we see that it has already detected the trigger and it goes down to this last app down here at the bottom. So we got 4 videos. As you can see, we have 4 videos in here that has been iterated by our iterator, and JSON has the create JSON module has already created the JSON variable for them, and it has parsed the JSON into 4 different operations right here. Now we're going to go ahead and continue on with the next module. Now, since we got all the data that we need to complete the aggregator configuration, let's go ahead and open this up, and you can see elements right here. So it's going to parse the elements for us, and then hit OK. Continuing on, we want to go ahead and select JSON again. So JSON and then create JSON. And then we want to go ahead and hit on add, since we're going to create another data structure. This time it's JSON to video movie data structure. We want to go ahead and hit on add item here. We want to go ahead and click on generate, and then we'll get the screen. Let's select this expression right here. Make sure not to copy anything before and after that. Go ahead and input that in here, and you could just go ahead and generate. Okay, you want to click on save on that. For the ID, let's go ahead and select record ID coming from our webhook. For FPS, we want to go ahead and put in 25. Select no for cache. Width and height, we want to pick that from our Airtable. And then for the scenes here, we want to enable it and scene select the array. We want to type in webhook. And for the content type, we want to type in JSON application /JSON. Make sure you type everything in correctly. Now for the endpoint, just like what we did with the other Airtable module or with the other module, we want to go ahead and grab a webhook, an outgoing webhook coming from our Airtable. So let's go ahead and head on Airtable. Going back to our Airtable here, we want to go ahead and hit on create, and let's rename this automation as movie webhook. And let's go ahead and move it to our webhook section right here. Now we want to pick when a webhook is received, and go ahead and copy the URL that we got here, our automation. We want to go to endpoint here and make sure you copy and paste exactly as it is in the what's in the Airtable. Nothing before and nothing after that. And then we want to make sure that it's the same thing it's the same thing. And in our type, we put in webhook, nothing before and after. And the content type is application /JSON, nothing before and after that as well. We want to make sure to type in high for our quality right here, and then we want to type in custom for resolution. You may go ahead and hit on OK after that. Then we go ahead and create our last module here. We want to go ahead and select our last module here, and it's the HTTP make requests for the URL. For the URL, we want to go ahead and put in this URL right here. You can pause the video and copy it as it is. Make sure you type in everything correctly. The method, let's change that to posts. And then for the header, we want to name it as x-API-key. And we want to put the API for our JSON to video. Now, after inputting your API key in here, we want to go ahead and raw for the body type, and the content type is application JSON. Request content is the one that we got from the great JSON 24 module. Select that. And we want to make sure that parse response is checked. We could go ahead and hit OK. We want to go ahead and hit on save. We could go ahead and run once, and we could jump back on our Airtable automation. And we want to go ahead and go to our generating movie automation here. We want to make sure we are on one script, and let's go ahead and test this section right here. And then as you can see right here, we have the trigger detected by our last line of modules. And we want to go ahead and check the status. It says 200. So if you got 200 in here, we want to go ahead and check with our movie webhook, see if anything's coming in there. Let's go down at the bottom. It says it just received something a few minutes ago. We want to check the body here. It seems that we got something coming in. All that we need to do now is to create the next action, which is update record. We want to select the table, which is movies. And for the record ID, go ahead and select body. And you should see this ID. And let's go ahead and select field. We want to go ahead and select the movie. Go click on the body down here. You should see the URL. Scroll down here, run as configured, and then run tests. Now we should have a result. If you jump back on the data here and go to movie, you should see a movie that has been created in here wherein you could watch 4 clips that has been pieced together. All right, there it is. We got the movie created now using this automation integration for Airtable and several APIs like Midjourney and LumaLabs using Make.com.